Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I am Hamza Idris. The crisis in the People's Democratic Party has taken yet another dramatic turn following the withdrawal of Rivers State Governor Wike and his supporters from the campaign council of the party's flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar. The group, which made the decision known after a rigorous meeting at the private residence of Governor Wike in Port Harcourt, announced that it resolved to pull out of the party's presidential campaign due to the refusal of the current national chairman of the party, Iyorchia Ayu, to step aside for another person, preferably from the southern part of the country, to assume leadership position following the emergence of a northern presidential candidate in the person of Atiku. The meeting was attended by high-ranking members of the party, such as Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, former Governors Olusegun Mimiko of Ondo, Ayo Fayose of Ekiti, Donald Duke of Cross River, Ibrahim Dankombo of Gombe, and John Ajang of Plateau, and a former Attorney General of the Federation, Mohamed Adoke. Others, a former Information Minister, Jerry Gana, South-South Chairman of the PDP, Dan Obi, a former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chibudon Wuche, among others. Here are excerpts of the meeting.
However, the published Presidential Campaign Council list translates to putting the cart before the horse. The pertinent issue before the party remains the resolution of the IU leadership debacle, which is a departure from the spirit and letter of our Constitution, which undermines the unity of our great party. It was therefore resolved that Senator Iyorchia Ayu resigns as the national chairman of the party for an acting chairman of Southern Nigeria extraction to emerge and lead the party on the national campaign. Consequently, we resolve not to participate in the campaign council in whatever capacity until the resignation of Dr. Iyorchia Ayu.
We formed this party on the principle of justice, fair play, and equity. It is true that everything is being done for us to have internal democracy in the party. But for the national chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, to go and embrace Tambuwal, calling him the hero of the convention, which means there was a private arrangement that was done with Tambuwal to shortchange other contestants, including Governor Wike. And here was a referee who now helped one of the sides to score a goal and then blew the whistle that a goal has been scored. This is not what we formed the PDP to do for Nigerians. And therefore, we unequivocally ask that Ayu has to step down.
Work for the party to the extent that fairness, equity, and justice is ensured in the party.
They're not different from the things that I mentioned at the Southwest Consultative meeting. And that is exactly where we are. We hope that the powers that be will listen to the voice of reason and do the needful.
The PDP ruled Nigeria before for 16 years of excellence. We are desirous that such kind of excellent governance comes back to this country. But that cannot be achieved unless we have a proper structure of the party as designed by the founding fathers. If we want to restructure Nigeria, we should have the courage to restructure our party.
We are joined in the studio by Dr. Abubakar Kari, a lecturer at the University of Abuja. He is also a public commentator. We are also joined by Frank Shaibu, who is the Special Assistant on Public Communication to Atiku Abubakar. Finally, we have Barrister Aliu Lemu, who is a legal practitioner. Together we will discuss the issues. Welcome to the studio, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Let me start with you. Yes. Are you disturbed that this caliber of people are pulling out of the campaign council?
I think to say that I'm disturbed or we are disturbed would be maybe a wrongful use of adjective, because there's no basis to be disturbed. I've said it times without number that whether the cock crows or not, the sun must rise. And what that means is simple. You see, these sets of people have only left the bedroom for the sitting room. They have not left PDP. They are within the PDP. They are under the umbrella. So there's no basis for anyone to be disturbed. We'll continue our moves as a party to pacify all aggrieved members, because there's nothing new that has been said. The issues they've been raising times and times before now is the same issue they are reiterating. So nothing new has come up. There are no new demands.
But Mr. Frank, if somebody who you have so much confidence in, that who will go and sell your candidature, said he will not campaign for you.
You see, the beautiful thing about 2023 election, like I've always said, is the fact that the APC is doing a very, very beautiful job in campaigning for His Excellency Atiku Abubakar and the PDP. And they've made our job easier, because, you see, Atiku is not aspiring to be president of the PDP. He's aspiring to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the election in 2023 is more of a referendum than the normal election that they think. So there is nobody, just like, you see, Nigerians condemned the comments that came from Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abeokuta before the primary election in the APC, where he said, he made President Muhammadu Buhari cried 3 times, failed 3 times, and even cried on national television that he single-handedly beat his chest that he made him president. Well, I call him the maker of President Muhammadu Buhari. Forgetting that, you see, power belongs to the Almighty, and he gives it to whom he so desires. So it is not for anybody, no human being can ascribe to himself that power that belongs to God, to say, look, I can make this man president or I will not make him president.
Yes,
so
Doctor,
the issue,
you heard what Frank said, that no much problem. Do you really subscribe to what he said, the caliber of people leaving the campaign trail?
Well, I will certainly differ, and I'm a little bit worried for PDP, because the action of the group, for me, amounts to escalation rather than amicable resolution. And again, their position sort of gives the impression that what is happening now is a zero-sum game. You know, zero-sum game, you either win or the other person loses, which means that they are not ready to concede an inch. And considering the fact that the timing is inauspicious, coming few days before the flag of the campaign, is a worrisome development for the PDP. What should be happening now is a cessation of hostilities, rapprochement, trying to bring all the groups together and to move together. For me, it also gives Atiku Abubakar a rather very, very tricky choice to make. It is either he sacrifices Ayu, who apparently enjoys the support of the mainstream PDP, so to say, in order to pander to Wike, or risk losing a Wike group, who many people tout as formidable. So either of the choices is not easy. Either of the choices will not likely be palatable for Atiku Abubakar. And therefore, I'm really worried for the PDP.
Barrister, Atiku, in his response
Yes.
today, even though he's out of the country, Ayu is also out of the country. He said the choice is Ayu's, one. And then secondly, those calling for Ayu's head should also consider the legal implications. What is your take on this?
Really, the problem is not much of a legal problem. It is a political problem that requires a political solution. But it cannot be divorced from the legal angle. You see, Ayu's emergence as the national chairman of the party is not based on the wills or whims of a particular individual or groups of individuals. Ayu was elected unanimously by the highest decision-making organ of the party, which is the National Convention. The power to remove him does not reside in a single individual or groups of individuals. That power to remove him resides with the same National Convention that brought him into office. That's from the legal perspective. The choice of resigning is an individual choice. But the issues being touted, balance of power, equity, fairness, and justice, all of them do not arise in this scenario.
Why?
This is why. If you are saying, based on the constitution of the party, if the president emerges from a certain part of the country, then the national chairman should emerge from a different part of the country. We are not there yet. Atiku Abubakar is still a candidate. We hope and pray for the sake of the PDP, he wins. Once he wins, that argument now becomes tenable, that we cannot have the president of the country from the same part of the country as the national chairman for equity, fairness, and justice. But it behoves on the party, the Wike group, and all of the individuals who are crying foul to rally around their presidential candidate. All of them should come under the umbrella to make sure that the PDP forms the government at the center. And once they are victorious in that respect, then the issues that they are complaining about will now arise. And then it will be clear for everybody to see, even the deaf will hear and the blind will see that the justice they are talking about is highly deserving.
Frank, you are nodding your head.
Yes.
Do you agree with what he said, that Atiku should become the president first before this balance of power or whatever?
You know, that was succinctly put by the lawyer in the studio. You see, the agitation for a balance of power, I'll give a clinical example. And I'll take my example to Rivers State. The candidate for PDP, of the PDP governorship candidate in Rivers, is from the same zone with the chairman
at present
of the PDP at present, under Governor Wike. Rotimi Amechi is from Ikwere. Celestine Omeya that Rotimi Amechi took over from via a court judgment was from the same Ikwere zone, Ikwere kingdom,
From
the same axis, from the same family. Yeah. Now, when Rotimi Amechi was rounding off his tenure, he said, look, we need to shift power to the Ijaw people, the riverine areas. Governor Wike, they were of the same political stock. He said, no, I want to be governor. He aspired. He contested. He won election. For 16 years, one region, I've been governor in Rivers. The people of Rivers have not killed anybody. Before Ayu emerged as chairman of the PDP, we had not just somebody from the South, we had somebody from Rivers State who was chairman of the party. You see, sometimes I tell people, I say, a bitter heart is not capable of charity. You understand? You know, a bitter heart is not capable of charity. When you're talking about choices, the choice is not that of Atiku to make. Atiku Abubakar, he does not even have the powers to remove. It is not within his powers to say he wants to remove the national chairman of a party. That would be a gross violation of the rules and ethics of the political party. We are not a pressure group. We're a political party.
But is there...
with profound respect. No, okay. I need to land here.
Okay.
You see, it is not within the powers of Atiku to remove Ayu.
Yeah, we have stated this clearly.
That is one.
Yeah.
Number two, whatever he wants to do will only be in an advisory capacity. He can only say, come, gentlemen, let's do this. I think we should do this and all that.
But if he knows something will not actually support or encourage, harmony in the party, and it will affect his candidacy. Don't you think he has this power to now say, okay, Mr. Ayu?
Let me ask you a question. Before the primary election, we had the Governor Wike even at the venue of the convention. Oh, he came, got to the podium, he got the microphone. After canvassing for votes from the delegates, he made one last comment. He said, look, today, I want to declare that whoever emerges at this convention, I will support the person with everything that I have and all that. And he got a rousing ovation. The issue is this, what has suddenly changed?
Yes, I think Doctor should come in here because you see, former governor of Plateau State, Jonah Jang, said it's like there was certain undercurrents at the convention ground because suddenly Tambuwal now said he withdrew and he mentioned that he withdrew for Atiku. If not for that, it will have been, maybe there will be a runoff or something like that.
You see, the reality is what is playing out is still the aftermath of the primaries. And that is why I'm so worried, because we have always said, and with very good reasons, that we have democracy in Nigeria, but we don't have democrats. In a democracy, in an election, in a contest, somebody must win and somebody must lose. And immediately after the outcome of an election has been declared, all people who have contested and their supporters ordinarily
should rally around
the winner. And Wike made a commitment that he was going to do that. But immediately after, now it appears that they are using as an alibi the withdrawal, personal voluntary withdrawal of Aminu Waziri Tambuwal as an act of political betrayal.
But he has been compensated with the DGship of the campaign.
No.
Was he not compensated?
No, the compensation has even compounded the problem. Yes. Now they are saying, you see, so their argument is that Tambuwal betrayed Wike. That was why Wike lost. And Ayu immediately declared that Tambuwal was the hero of that convention.
Because maybe Ayu has special relationship.
So they are now using that as an
yes, because some people are, I'm talking to Barrister, people are saying that there is special attachment between Atiku and Ayu. And Atiku believes that sacrificing Ayu will mean even sacrificing his own, prospective mandate.
Not necessarily. From my point of view, one of the characteristics of politics is horse trading. And just like it happened in the APC, a lot of candidates withdrew from Bola Tinubu, and none of the other candidates who lost the election came on national TV trying to sabotage their party.
But they are quiet. Maybe we'll discuss their issue another time, because many of them are quiet.
But
they are signifying something.
That's what I'm telling you. They've not come out to openly try to sabotage their candidates. As politicians, my colleague here said, we have democracy in Nigeria, but we don't have Democrats. We have democracy in Nigeria. Part of the inherent checks and balances in the democratic process is that avenues are created for ventilating your grievances. If Governor Wike's camp sees the withdrawal of Tambuwal as an act of betrayal which can be remedied in law, there are avenues within which they can follow and ventilate their grievances. They can appeal to the primary election committee that certain rules or laws or guidelines were broken in the withdrawal of Aminu Tambuwal at whatever stage he did, assuming they are legal grounds. If the avenue has been exhausted and they are still not satisfied,
then they can start ranting.
They can go to court. That is the next legal step. That is the next legal
step. Instead of the public war.
Exactly.
Yes, Mr. Frank,
exactly.
How strong do you think some of these contenders are? Because some people look at the caliber.
The contenders.
Well, look at when I look at the list.
Yes.
Now, Donald Duke from South, Bode George from Southwest, Dankombo from Northeast, others from North Central. It's like they are from across the geopolitical zone. Don't you think it will affect your fortune?
Let me tell you something. you see, politics is about following. And I believe too that a majority of them who are around Wike, Governor Wike, had their interest buried in his ambition. At the time he was aspiring to be president, to be candidate of the PDP. So they had their interest buried in his ambition. So the moment he lost the primary election, it extinguished whatever their interests were. To them, they felt it extinguished it. Unfortunately, they don't know that. You see, politics is a game, and it's a contest, and it should be done in the most decent and decorous manner, most times. And that's why I tell people that there is a language that befits someone of the office of a governor, a former governor, a minister, a former minister, and there's the language of area boys. There are certain languages that we are not, you see, that do not befit our status as a people. And there are certain conduct that shouldn't befit us, that shouldn't befit our status as well. But in any case, a man who, that's why I started by saying a bitter heart is not capable of charity. When you're talking about chances.
Will you still, consult them to see that they get back to the campaign?
Of course. You see, with profound respect and utmost humility, these are great leaders of our party in their own rights. But like I said when I started, I said, look, power belongs to the Almighty. You understand me? And that whether the cock crows or not, the sun must rise. You know that even in America, if you stay in a hotel in America, for instance, I'm not sure you're going to hear the sound of a cock crow. But when you look through your window, you see that the sun will rise. Back home, if you go to the village, of course, you get that. You see, the issue is this. The people are watching. Nigerians know better. Nigerians want to return to the days where they can buy a bag of rice for 8,500 naira, not 38,000 naira.
Well,
it is not. Hold on, sir. Hold on.
It's not about what the PDP will do.
It's not about what the PDP will do.
I want Doctor to come in here. Yes, Doctor. You see, Atiku said he was shocked because almost all other states have submitted names of people who should be in the campaign council, and then suddenly this, fire in Port Harcourt. What other options do you think he has?
Well, okay, before option, I was actually surprised by a statement in Chibode George's speech, which gave the impression, that the group was not consulted before they were integrated into the campaign
council.
Yes. If that is so, I think it is a monumental blunder on the side of Atiku. But then, I also believe, that they gave him very little room to maneuver because their intransigence over the weeks or months is just rising. And they have succeeded in saying it is either their way or nothing else. But talking about options, the whole business of politics, of course, is resolution of contending interest. Politician can give the impression that the whole skies will collapse. And then before you know it, they will go and reconcile. As a matter of fact, when they were in power, PDP was reputed by a statement that a reference, it was a family affair. So the family appears to be in disarray now, but that does not mean that the situation is hopeless. I believe there is still time for Atiku to continue to consult. But if I were him, and for me to offer free advice, if 2 or 3 of them are not ready to comply, he should be able to penetrate the group and get some of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
But do they have other options? Do they have options? These people against Atiku, do they have options? Because primaries have finished. Some of them have planted, they have secured tickets for, their people under the PDP, like in, Benue, even in the rivers. Sheyi Makinde is looking for second term. Do they have options in the event that Atiku did not concede to their demands?
Well, their option is what they have done so far, to leave the campaign. Most definitely, I don't think they will leave the party. But like Mr. Frank said earlier, they left the bedroom to the sitting room. They've left the campaign team, but are still members of the party.
But they can sabotage it.
And like Mr. Kari said now, it's all a family affair. My advice to the PDP and to the presidential candidate is, wisdom should be used in attempting to resolve whatever differences we have. They are a very formidable group. Their contribution to this campaign is going to be very monumental and substantial. Attempts should be made to broker the peace. Let them come back into the sitting room. Let them come back into the campaign fold. Into the bedroom. Let them come back into the bedroom in the overall interest of the party.
What is your final word to them before we move on to our other?
Well, my final word to them is the fact that they are leaders of our party, great leaders of our party in their own rights and in their respective states, in their respective zones, as it were. Atiku is a pan-Nigerian candidate. He's not a tribal jingoist. He's not an ethnic jingoist. He's not a religious bigot. And he's a believer. In fact, I remember when he was hiring me in 2018, he told me, he said, Frank, you know what I represent. In your conduct, in your actions, in your statements, make sure that it represents what I represent, and that is practically pan-Nigerianism, and not to tend towards one section of the country. And that is why I believe very strongly, that Nigerians know, and you know too, that this particular crisis is not just about Atiku. It's not about Atiku coming out to say, look, you please get off. No, it is not.
It's about the rule of law.
It's about the rule of law. It's about concession. It's about understanding. It's about maturity, in every sense of it.
Thank you.
And it's about being looking at the big picture, which is looking at Nigeria, looking at the sufferings of the masses, and looking at even the PDP, including Mr. President. Let me tell you something before we go.
No.
Hold on, sir. Hold on.
It's okay. Because I want to take the word of Dr. Kari also. How can they arrive at a convergence now? The two. Your final word on this topic?
Well, I say politics is the art of the possible. So Atiku should continue consulting, trying to woo them back, and get as many of them as possible to his side if all of them cannot come to his side. But he must not give up. His campaign will really be depleted without them, because let's face it, many of them are very, very formidable, tested politicians with large following. And in 2023, we really want a very keen contest. It promises to be so, it should be so, it should remain so.
Okay, your final word, Barrister. Are you appeared adamant, unshaken?
Well, I believe in the rule of law and for democracy to thrive in Nigeria. Everything that will promote the good growth of democracy and rule of law in Nigeria should be encouraged. Like I said, this thing can be resolved through engagement, continuous negotiation, horse trading, and so on. If the complaint is genuine, that they represent interest, fairness, and justice, the president and the national chairman cannot come from the same zone. A compromise can be reached. If your candidate emerges as the presidential candidate, then it becomes a national duty and national honor on the part of the chairman to sacrifice his office for the interest of the party, for the interest of unity, the cohesion, and justice.
Thank you very much. Well, viewers, this is how far we can take on our discussion on the crisis in the opposition People's Democratic Party. Earlier on Wednesday, the National Industrial Court of Nigeria in Abuja ordered the Academic Staff Union of Universities to immediately suspend its ongoing industrial action. Presiding Judge Justice Polycarp Hamman held that the strike was a breach of the Section 18, subsection 1(2) of the Trade Disputes Act, which prohibits their action. He said the use of shall in the Act connotes mandatory provision not to embark on the strike pending the determination of the main suit before the court. The judge noted that the strike has caused irreparable damage to the careers of many students in Nigeria. Take a look at this report by Daily Trust.
Asking the striking lecturers to end the action due to the importance of education in national life, relying on relevant provisions of the law. Parties responded to the ruling, which counsel to ASU, Edoje Ejo, says will be examined to explore available options.
What the court did was to agree with us that an interlocutory injunction has to be granted against the Academic Staff Union of Universities, their agents, privies, or whatever name they are described, from continuing with the strike pending the hearing and determination of the substantive suit. That's in accordance with rule of law.
Well, the judgment has come. It has come. The court has ruled that members of ASU are restrained from continuing the strike action, and that they should return back to the classrooms pending the determination of the substantive suit. As per the next action, there are quite a number of options open to the union. We will study the ruling with the legal team, and then we will adopt the most appropriate option.
National Association of Nigerian Students NANS president and his team, who observed proceedings, were elated by the court decision, but asked federal government to fulfill its promises to the aggrieved lecturers.
We are actually happy that the court made its ruling that ASU should suspend the strike and go back to class. That's what we have been agitating. But on this note, we want to call on the government to fulfill its own part.
The vacation judge, Justice Polycarp Haman, returned the case to the Chief Judge of the Federation for reassignment as he resumes his leave. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and in the first part of the program, we discuss the problem in the opposition People's Democratic Party. You are all welcome back. Yes, we will take a short break, and when we return, the second session of our program continues. Please stay with us.
TV, documenting the Nigerians.
Welcome back. We still have Frank Shaibu, the special assistant to Atiku Abubakar on communications, and Barrister Aliu Lemu in the studio. We had to excuse Dr. Kari because he's a member of ASU, and he proposed to be out of the studio because it's still a contentious issue. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Frank, let me start with you. You know, you have seen what transpired at the industrial court. Is it the end of the road for ASU?
I don't think so. The issue is much more than even rushing to the courts or that particular judgment, because we have a bigger problem on our hands as a nation. I remember that UNICEF records show clearly that we have about 18.5 million children that are out of school in Nigeria. But the updated report of UNESCO shows clearly that we have about 20.2 million out of school children in Nigeria. And that is far more than about the total population of countries like Mali and even Burkina Faso, out of school children in Nigeria. And that's a worrisome development. And we have a government in Nigeria that will have its undergraduates, postgraduate students out of school for over 6 months. And all they can do is to have maybe one of their ministers rush on national TV to tell the world, oh, parents go and prostrate and beg us to return to
But Frank, this has been an existential problem right from the days of PDP.
Of course. But you see, resolutions were made, agreements were made. These agreements were entered. If the PDP government took over from President Goodluck Jonathan, by now we will be out of this problem. If you notice, you see, you are a professional journalist. Check your records. The budget of any PDP government for education in this country is far more than what you see in the present-day government. And for me, when you have people who bring NEPA bills as certificates to contest for elections in Nigeria to become president in Nigeria, this is what you get. You see, you cannot, now we are faced with another candidate of the APC who cannot tell us which primary school he attended. In fact, if one of their spokespersons told us the other day how maybe he did his primary education from home. In fact, he did what they call homeschooling at that time. It's tendenciously wicked to present our nation, a nation that has over 20.2 million out of school children. You are now bringing somebody again to lead us after bringing NEPA bill as certificates in 2015.
Barrister, what will you say on this? Because it's like Frank is heaping all the blame on APC, but beyond APC, PDP. Now, this case has been taken to an industrial court. I ask him the question, is it the end of the road for, even though ASU president said they are going to appeal?
It is not the end of the road yet, and I don't think taking this matter to court is the solution. I don't think the court can actually resolve these disputes. It has been a continuous problem, a recurring decimal in the various governments in Nigeria, even under the military rule. But we expect to fare better under a democratic system of government. And legally speaking, the court has a right to make certain orders. And once those orders are made, it is the duty of all the persons who have submitted themselves to court to obey those orders, whether it is right or wrong. But it has also been constitutionally provided for a party who has aggrieved by any decision, ruling, or judgment of the court to exercise its right of appeal. The ASU, represented by its counsel, has indicated the fact that it is going to appeal this decision. So it merely tells you it doesn't solve the problem. Lecturers are not going to go back to class.
Wow.
They are going on appeal, further prolonging the legal and judicial process. And the people who are going to suffer and bear the brunt of all of this legal tussle between the federal government and the striking lecturers are the students and their parents. Children have been at home for over 7 months. They deserve to go back to their classes. They deserve to continue their education. We see every day children of the elites and even those in government enjoying their educations abroad.
Yeah.
But the children of the less privileged, whose only option is to attend public universities, are being kept at home for months on end. But this problem did not start with the APC. It is our hope that they can do better and perhaps give birth to a resolution to these problems, which will be a goal to their government, and in fact will be a point of their campaign that they've been able to solve the lingering protracted and lingering ASU strike in Nigeria.
Frank, the judge cited the industrial dispute Act that once case is in the court, then whatever comes out from there supersedes. Do you think it's a tactic by the APC that they went to court midway into negotiation?
It's an outdated tactics of brigandage, as far as I'm concerned. Let me tell you something. If a court orders a doctor to return to work in the hospital, will you carry yourself to that hospital to go and meet the doctor to treat you of any ailments? Will you, in good conscience, go before such a doctor ordered by a court to return to the hospital?
I know the doctor will be watched by others, so he may not.
Which doctor will be watched? Are there CCTV cameras in these hospitals that you have there that are barely mere consulting units and mortuaries? That these ones hospitals? You understand? The issue is beyond that. You've gone there to, you think you can ambush ASU and use brigandage and force to send them back to the classroom. Oh, not a problem. You can decide to go back to the classroom and sit. I come to class. If I were a lecturer, I'll just come there, cross my legs, and watch the children, the students. You see, it can't resolve this. It can't resolve the issue. The issue, they are only scratching the surface. They are scratching the surface. And that goes to show that they have no capacity to resolve this problem. Of course, this has been a recurring decimal. But then it's been better handled. The other day, President Goodluck Jonathan offered free tutorials to them on how he managed the ASU in Brooklyn.
But there were many strikes during his time. I have some records here.
Very much we are aware.
I have some records here that, you see, from 1999 till date,
yes,
ASU had embarked on strike for a record 16 times.
Yes.
You know, there are 1999, 5 months, 2001, 3 months, 2002, 2 weeks, 2003, 6 months, 2005, 2 weeks, 2006, 3 days, 2007, 3 months, 2008, 1 week, 2009, 4 months, 2010, 5 months, 2011, 59 days, 2013, 5 months, 2017, 1 month, 18, 3 months, 2020, 9 months, and 2022 from February till date.
2020, it was how many months? 9 months?
Yeah, 9 months, yeah.
So if you check your, you just read out statistics. Even based on your...
No, they are facts.
No,
Very staggering.
These facts, you see, these facts are staggering. They are frightening. But remember that I took you from even the statistics of our out-of-school children. And I told you something. You see, the danger is this. It's not just about ASU. The Nigerian public, ASU, I think it's incumbent on ASU to even educate and sensitize the mass of our people the more on their demands. It's not about lecturer salaries. It's about the collapse of the educational system. It's about the decay in the educational system. I'll give you a classical example. This government, for instance, celebrated one of their star boys in this government is the registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. And I consider that I tell them that it smacks of wretched illiteracy to celebrate him. Because if he's generating revenue for him, move him from Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board and make him the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
I think it's for bringing efficiency.
No. It's not for bringing efficiency. It's about the surplus he declares at the end of every exam year. Are you with me? And JAM, the act that established JAM, you can go and check your records. The act that established JAM is not for it to generate revenue. And I'll tell you, what he does today is a complete aberration that negates even the act that established that particular agency. And that is where the problem starts from. And that's what ASU is even fighting against. Let me tell you. We have over 1.9 million students, minimum, that write JAM every year in the last 3 years, in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Not less than 1.9 million. And the carrying capacity of our universities oscillates between 250 to, let me say, 400,000.
Meaning the rest must have to the right.
Meaning about 1,400,000 students who write JAM cannot even have access to university education. And where does that leave us? We now have what we call issues of educational tourism in Ghana here. Some even go to Benin. When they go there, we contribute to the economy of Benin Republic, contribute to the economy of Ghana. These students rent houses, they pay school fees, they buy food, and do other things. And tomorrow we begin to complain that nothing is working in Nigeria. How can things work? And so he said, go back to you. I know that you attended the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. Go back to your university. Have the lecture theaters changed? Have they built new lecture theaters? They cannot accommodate more students. Meanwhile, we know the number of children that are born every day. We know the number of children that go to school and leave secondary school preparing to go for university education. So the issue is that we cannot have a government who will be celebrating idiocy. We can't. It's unacceptable. And that is why you see them flying. Hold on, sir.
Yes.
When the war in Ukraine. No,
Frank, I'm coming. You will continue.
Not about
Frank, I want you to come in because
goodness.
it appears, yes, if you look at public sentiment, it's like it's turning against ASU for not actually conceding some of the, offers, conceding to the offers given to them. Do you think that this will actually give birth to a legitimate child?
Well, I can't say whether to give birth to a legitimate child or not. But if you take, for example, I think ASU is the last bastion standing between the total collapse of tertiary education in Nigeria. No well-meaning parent can put his child in a public primary school. Not anymore. The same for secondary schools. But something has to give. The reality is that government cannot fund education, tertiary education, 100%. And globally, it is not done anywhere in the world, even in America, even in the UK, even in the most industrialized countries of the world. Tertiary education is not free. It comes at a premium. The best that government does is to offer subsidies, is to offer scholarships, is to offer student loans for people to support themselves through tertiary education.
Some states have started doing this.
It is a step in the right direction, but talking about the federal government, we have harped too much on the problem, and everybody admits it's a recurring problem, it's a recurring decimal in the education system. But what is the solution? I come from the school of thought that advocates solution to problems, not discussing causes of problems all of the time without solutions. Nigerian universities, in the various acts establishing them, grants them financial autonomy. It means they should be responsible for how the school is run, how it is administered, but the last part of the autonomy is the financial autonomy, which is that the school should be able to fund itself, generate revenue for itself, and run itself practically. A few weeks back, there was a write-up that was circulating on both the print and social media by Professor Saad Abubakar, who was the former Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Technology, Minna. He said when he assumed office as the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University in Minna, students were paying 5,000, 10,000 naira as their tuition fee. It is improbable, it is impractical, the school cannot run on that, knowing fully well that the subventions they are receiving from the federal government
is not enough.
Exactly. So what did he do? He raised the school fees from 10,000 naira to about 80,000 or 100,000. A lot of parents complained, but they paid school fees. And I'll give you an example now. My children attend a private school. My last daughter, who is in nursery school, I paid over 100,000 for her to get quality education. While our students in tertiary education are paying 10,000 as tuition fee, that is not practical.
Frank,
yes.
You see, we did a report here in Daily Trust calling for, because we spoke to stakeholders, that parents should pay so that these universities can function. But as we kicked against this, in a word or two, what advice do you have for them?
First off, because you have a large audience, we were talking about, when we were reading out statistics about number of days of strike under both the APC and the PDP. Under a single president, cumulatively under President Muhammadu Buhari, we have had 584 days of strike under him, the longest ever under any sitting president. That's number one. Number two, if I return to the issue of
parents in a word or two, please. Do you subscribe to that?
No. Under an Atiku presidency, by the grace of God, we're going to have a total return to Students' Loan Board. It will be fully reactivated and well-funded so that we can offer support to these children.
Meaning you align with what?
Of course. And we're looking at restructuring, and of course, power will be given back, there will be devolution of powers to states and all that. And the private sector will be encouraged to come into the educational sector to support what will be done.
Thank you.
Because the parents you're asking to pay cannot feed.
Thank you.
You understand? The bag of rice is 36 naira against 8,500 naira in 2015. So how do you expect them? Where do you expect them to get money from?
Mr. Frank, I wish thank you very much for your informed perspective on the two major issues we discussed today. Barrister Aliyu Lemu, also thank you very much for coming here and for sharing your thoughts on how to resolve the PDP crisis and how to also manage our education at the tertiary
It's my
level.
pleasure.
We'll see you in the village.
Well, viewers, this is where we come to the end of the program today, which we hope you enjoy and you will remain with us for another edition of the program tomorrow. For now, thank you very much. I'm Hamza Idris.